Welcome, everybody, to the U16 pod. I'm Ryan MacArthur.
And I'm Connor Williams. And last week on the U16 pod, we had the chance to talk to four incredible players. We talked to four players who participated in a couple of the first tournaments of the year. Two players from the Wendy Dufton Memorial Tournament in London. We had Ethan Thomas from the Quinny Red Devils, Jacob Tarian from the Clarington Toros, and then from the Sylvia Jacobs Fall Memorial Tournament in Markham, we had Henry Muse from the Toronto Junior Canadians and Braden Turley from the Mississauga Senators. So if you haven't seen that episode, you can check that episode out on YouTube, or feel free to download and listen to it on whatever podcast platform you listen on. So that was a great episode last week, but this week we got another great episode for our listeners and audience members. First off, a couple weeks ago, I guess a week ago now, we had the Barrie tournament that was held. Don Mills Flyers took that tournament, went undefeated the entire time. I know, Ryan, you had the chance to go there for a day. Just what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, the Barrie tournament was good. It was only 5 teams, so it wasn't a huge tournament. But when I was down there, I got the chance to see the Don Mills Flyers. I think that's a really strong team. I think they might be flying under the radar a little bit and be a little underrated now. And their group in the Silver Stick is going to be interesting. There's a lot of good teams in their group, so I think that they're going to battle hard at a tournament, and showed well in Barrie. Like, I went to a huge win over Oshawa, and I remember thinking, I was like, well, Oshawa, they mustn't be that good this year. And then I kind of looked, and Oshawa's actually doing pretty well, but Don Mills really took it to them. And like, I think that it just shows, like, it's more showing like how strong Don Mills is. So yeah, that was interesting to watch. And a couple players really stood out for me. Nikolas Iafrate, I heard he had 14 points in 5 games. That's unverified, but I don't know, pretty good source. So we'll go with it. We'll mention it here. And the game I was at, he got 2 goals and an assist. I didn't see the entire game because I snuck out to watch another game for a little while that was going on at the same time. But he had a penalty shot, and he pulled off basically the Kucherov move, faked the slap shot, and let it slide through the goalie's 5-hole there. So I won't play too much spoiler, but we have an interview with Nikolas coming up a little later in this episode, and make sure you catch that. And we actually bring that up in the interview, so that was fun. And a heck of a player. He's got a booming shot, but we'll get more into him later. Another player I really liked was Aiden Renault, defenseman, right defenseman. Yeah, right D, wears 16. I don't know, he's pretty good. Like, he's got a big snapshot, big heavy player overall, like throws big hits, very physical, skates extremely well, really good balance, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you gotta love, and I think he's going to be a good draft pick for the OHL, just off that one viewing. So looking forward to seeing him more, and Nikolas more at the Silver Stick. But I just wanted to mention those 2 players. I don't want to force it here, so I'm not going to mention any more players. Those are the 2 that stood out for me, and I'm just going to kind of stick with my kind of, I don't know, like, who I want to mention and whatnot. And no, I don't have any players from the other teams, unfortunately, but maybe next tournament I will. So.
No, congratulations to Don Mills on a phenomenal tournament there in Barrie. Really, almost quite the dominating performance there. They had a great tournament in the Markham tournament. They were also participating there and made it all the way to the quarters, where they lost to the eventual champions, JRC there. So a couple great tournaments so far. We'll talk to Nikolas Iafrate about that in that interview we had with him. So it was phenomenal. So we'll skip a week later now, and there was another tournament. There's a tournament going on in Kingston, Clash in the YGK, I believe it's what it's called. It was U16 and U18. First off, congratulations to the North York Rangers. Actually, I should say congrats to both North York Rangers U16 and U18 teams for making it to the finals and ultimately winning the tournament. First off, North York Rangers U18 team, I gotta shout out Caleb LaBelle, one of our friends from the pod. We had him on in our first season here. He was on the Toronto Titans last year, so he's on the North York Rangers this year. And congrats to him and the boys on the North York Rangers U18 team on taking it in the U18 division there. But for the U16 division, North York really kind of undefeated there. They had a couple of their closest games came. I'd say they've had a 4-3 win against the Kitchener Junior Rangers, but a couple of the really close games um, against the Toronto Red Wings. Man, Red Wings are going to be a tough team this year. They lost 2-1 in the round robin to North York and lost 2-0 in the final. But in all their other games, they really had some dominating performances and some really offensive explosions, I guess you could say. Their multiple players on their team ended up actually leading the tournament offensively. I'll list off 3 players who were leading it. Tyrone Fevry, outstanding forward. I know this is a player you and I have seen a couple of times, and just an outstanding player there, Ryan, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He's a heck of a player, and he's a really, really strong forward. Like you're not bumping him off the puck. Like he holds his line pretty steady and drives the net hard. And I love that. I think he's got he doesn't just have the power game. I think he's got that finesse too. I see him finishing around the net often with nice dekes and stuff. So really like a Tyron Fevry a lot.
Oh, you said it perfectly, and he's got the scoring ability with a great shot. He led the tournament with 11 points. Another couple Red Wings who were leading the way there. Jonathan Morello, great two-way player, 10 points. Amari Sellers, this is a player I really like. Amari Sellers, man, the quickness. I know you've seen him as well. The quickness that Amari Sellers has. He's got the finish. I know they put a highlight of him from one of his goals, and he just ripped it top cheese on the goalie there, and he was just showing what he could do. With the way his skating, his quickness, some of the little things he does, the subtle plays with his hockey sense. Amari Sellers is a player I really like on the Red Wings, as well as Morello. Morello is a player I saw back at Benchmark, where he was just looking phenomenal. Great two-way game, great off-puck movement, moving into open space. So Fevry, Morello, and Sellers were leading the way in tournament scoring there. And then, of course, the next 2 players who were kind of leading the way overall in the tournament were from North York. Of course, Kieran Walton, kind of a usual suspect there. I know you like Walton a lot. And then this next guy, Christopher Brown, had 9 points. So Sellers, Walton, and Christopher Brown each had 9 points to finish the tourney. But Christopher Brown's, I know is a guy you're really high on there, Ryan.
Big time. I love watching Chris Brown play. He's got hands, magic in his hands. He's really, really quick hands and dangles really well. And he plays an entertaining style, like the way he kind of cuts in there with that mohawk 10 and 2 kind of edge style, where the 2 edges end up going out wide and you kind of turn and dip your way through those little gaps and stuff. I love watching him play. He's really slippery and fun to watch, and must drive his opponents crazy because it's hard to get a body on him and then stop him. So I'm not surprised to see he got 9 points there. He's a really good player. Kieran Walton is just huge, and he's so fast and so good, and he's got great hands. You gotta love watching him cut to the middle and snipe. So I'm not surprised that he got a lot of points there at the tournament. I think he's a candidate to go first overall probably in this draft. And yeah, Murray Sellers. I was actually remiss that I didn't bring him up when I mentioned players that stood out in the London tournament, the Wendy Dufton. I kind of regretted it after I thought I kind of missed him there, and because he is very fast, like you mentioned, he's got that explosive kind of motor and great top speed, and he cuts and dangles and moves laterally really well. So glad we get to mention him here, and I'm not surprised he had a big tournament in Kingston. He's a heck of a player.
No, so just congratulations to both the Rangers on the tournament win and the Red Wings on a phenomenal tournament there, making them all the way to the finals and having a really, really great final game there. But aside from the 2 tournaments that went on, it was a big week, big week. Lots of games going on, from the Alliance, the SCTA to the ETA. Just first off, I'll start with the Alliance before we jump in the SCTA and ETA. Alliance, we had a big kind of win, I guess you could say. London lost to Waterloo. So Waterloo took down the, at the time, undefeated London Junior Knights there, handed London their first loss. So after that first week, we kind of have the standings kind of shifted up a bit, and London's still at the top there. but now they're tied with the Windsor Junior Spitfires there. Waterloo, point back. The London, Windsor, 14 points each. Waterloo and Huron, Perth, and Cambridge are all tied at 13, but Waterloo actually has the better points win percentage.
Yeah.
Brantford, on the other hand, though, keep an eye on Brantford. They've only played 5 games, Ryan. 5 games. And they're 4-1, 8 points. And they've had some dominating wins here so far. And they had a recent win this past week, 8-0 over Chatham Kent. And man, Lucas Carmiers, he had 5 points. 5 points in that game. Three
Wow.
goals, 2 assists. Merrick Vanaker, 2 goals, 1 assist. Nathan Murphy, a couple assists. But Lucas Carmiers is a player. He just keeps making an impact for that team, eh?
Yeah, he's a heck of a player. Like the first time I saw him was I mean, we mentioned this before, but he played 2 years ago. He was playing up, and he was U14, but he played in a U15 All-Star game and did really well and really stood out. And I was writing all these notes about him, and then I found out he was only an 06 and he wasn't even eligible until 2022. So I was really surprised. And he's physical too. Like he does throw the body, and he's a really good player, complete player. Like I personally haven't even seen him yet this season, so I'm like really like kind of missing watching him play. Like I actually don't even know if I've seen him live yet, because those other views are on video. So I'm gonna definitely be doing that soon. It won't be much. It won't be much longer until I see him play, because I really want to see him. And I really like his cousin Tommy Carmiris is also a good player. I think he could go underrated a bit. He was with Prodigy Black. I'm not sure how his stats are doing, because, like I mentioned, I haven't seen them yet. But he'd be another one that from that team that I like. Bryden McCallum. So yeah, not surprised Brantford's done well. Waterloo in the London tournament gave Quinty a run for their money, and led by kind of Brady Martin, the 07, and kind of a deep team there. So I'm not surprised that Waterloo took that win over London. Like it is a bit surprising in a way, because London was a top team and they were the highest ranked team from the alliance I had preseason. But Waterloo, they've got a deep team and they play as a team. They're well coached, so that result is slightly surprising, but not overwhelmingly surprising. And yeah, like London, I mean, they're at the top of the standings, but doesn't surprise me. They're one of my favorites preseason as well. So yeah, it's good. That's good that I mean, interesting results for sure. Like it's really interesting to see Waterloo take down London. That would have been a big game on Saturday night there. Yeah. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, in that game, there's a couple players who really made a really big impact in that Waterloo London showdown there. Matt Soulier on London, a couple goals, really put up a nice performance there. And then Braden Stump from Waterloo, goal and an assist in that game. And then, of course, one of your favorite players from the 07 group, Brady Martin, put in the game-winning goal there. Plotted the game, GWG there, plotted the winner for Waterloo.
It does not surprise me one bit. Brady Martin is a star. And you had 207 stars there, because you had
three.
Oh, 3, yeah. Everyone's
that,
always
eh?
like everyone's always undercounting the 07s, and we mentioned 5 on the last podcast, and I've got another one to bring up. So 2007 is a heck of an age group, that's for sure. But yeah, we're mostly focused on 06s, but we always kind of keep an eye on the U15 loop and who's coming up, who's playing up, and all that stuff. It's fun to track, right?
No, absolutely. And I mean, those 07s making an impact. But other than that game, a couple other games here from the Alliance who I wanted to touch on. Windsor had a 5-4 win over Huron Perth. I mean, those teams are going to be tight this year. Windsor, Huron Perth, Waterloo. They're all really going to be tight games, in my opinion, right there. That Windsor 5-4 win over Huron Perth. I mean, from Windsor, you had Josh LePayne, Josh Harding. LePayne had 3 goals and 1 assist in that game. So just a dominating performance from him. Josh Harding had a couple assists in that. So just great. Windsor's a tough team for us just because they're kind of so far like Windsor. So I know they're going to be at the Silver Stick. So we're really going to be all over them there.
Yeah, I want to mention that was the one team I didn't mention. I knew there was a 4th team, but I couldn't think of it in my head before I stopped talking there. Windsor, we haven't seen yet, and they weren't at a first tournament, so that made it even more difficult. So we're definitely going to be all over that. Definitely, like the first time I'll definitely see them by the Silver Stick or at the Silver Stick.
Yeah, because there'll be a team that'll be making some noise at the Silver Stick. I think there'll be a team to keep an eye on. But from that same game, a couple guys from here in Perth here who each had a goal. Adley Rogers and Jesse Combs. Apologize if I said that right. Coombs. Jesse Combs with the goal there in that game. Another game I'll put out here. Cambridge beat Chatham 8-3. And Cambridge just had a dominating performance there. But a couple players from Chatham, Riley Alexander had a couple assists, Nick Cameron had a couple goals. But from Cambridge, obviously we know Tyler Graham's kind of a big name, but three guys.
I knew it.
But
I knew it was going to be Tyler Graham.
But like Tyler Graham's a big player on that team. But three guys who I got written down here who had really big performances in that game. Drake Neal, 3 assists. Cameron Fries, 2 goals, 1 assist, and Nathan Catalano, a couple goals there. So really kind of bringing in the I don't even want to say supporting cast because Tyler Graham's kind of a name that a lot of people might know. But these guys really, a lot of players that are stepping up and really making an impact there for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned Catalano and Fries, like or Freeze. Is it Freeze or Fries? Either way, those two, they pop up a lot when 519 does their sport, like their highlight packages. So I always watch those. 519 Sports is a great source just for, I mean, obviously we don't go it off highlights, but it does help. And those two come up a lot in those clips.
No, absolutely. And then I'll just list off 3 other games here that went on that were some notable games, I guess you could say. Here in Perth topped Elgin Middlesex 3-2. Here in Perth tied Waterloo 4-4. So that was a really tight game, really back and forth.
Good one.
Cambridge topped Elgin 4-3 as well. So just lots of tight games in the Alliance so far earlier in the season. Really not a lot of separation from the top of the group there. Lots of tight games. Lots of one game could have gone one way. Ties. Lots of back and forth there. So going to be really fun to keep an eye on the Alliance there and see what's going on as the year progresses and check out some of these Alliance teams at some tournaments in that sense. But as I conclude on the Alliance here, just as we wrap up, what was it, week 4 or 5? Anyways, points leaders after this past week. Tyler Graham leading the way, 12 games played, 7 goals, 11 assists for 18 points for first in scoring. Then you got Windsor, Josh LePage, 8 games played, 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. Here on Perth, Tate Bader, 10 games played, 9 goals, 7 assists, and 16 points. Tate Bader's a big player for here on Perth, a player we're really excited to see. I know we saw him at draft day, and he was a great player there.
Yeah, and I saw him at the London tournament. He's got a great motor. He's a complete all-around center that I love. Yeah, he can give her. He's got jam for sure.
That's awesome. And then of course we mentioned him a bit earlier. 4th in scoring here, Lucas Carmiras. 5 games played, Ryan. 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. So that's more
Not
than
surprised at all.
Jeez, like that's just racking up the points there. So big time player for Brantford. And then 5th in scoring here in London. There you go, foreshadowing. Hey, this. I don't know if this will be a surprise for you, but another 07 pops up here. Ryan Rubrick from London there. 8 games played, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points there to wrap up kind of the top 5 in scoring in the Alliance there. So Ryan Rubrick already up there, eh?
Well, if you add up all his points, I mean, he had 13 in the London tournament. So, I mean, in legit games, not even counting preseason and exhibition and stuff, he's got 29 points already, which is a lot. And when I saw him in the summer, he was just tearing it up, like doing things that were ridiculous. Like he'd get at least 3 goals a game in his own age group. So I don't know, like if he stays back and doesn't get exceptional status, it absolutely dominates. He is a contender for that exceptional status for sure.
Yeah. So that basically wraps up the Alliance and kind of a week that was there. So the SCTA, a couple games. I got a couple games here that I'll list off here, and I know you got to catch some SCTA as well. So I'll start off here. Niagara North topped Oakville 6-3. So Niagara North remains undefeated in the SCTA. Them along with Halton are actually still undefeated. Um, although Niagara has played one less game, and Halton has 2 ties rather instead of a loss. So just a notable stuff there. But Niagara North 6-3 win over Oakville. Big time performances from 4 players there. I'll list off 4 names. Of course, I'll lead off with the name. We probably said a fair bit here. Luca Testa, 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points there. So he was just a beast in that game. Andrew Vermeulen, a goal, 2 assists in that game. Ben Theron, a goal, 2 assists. Then Dominic DiFrancesco, this guy's everywhere, and for Niagara North, man. He's just making an impact everywhere. Just the hustle this guy has, the work ethic. He had 3 assists. I mean, DiFrancesco keeps popping up on my radar everywhere I see, man.
Well, we've mentioned the other players, so and I didn't see the game, so I don't want to get too much into it. But Ben Theron's one that I've noticed as well. He's pretty solid, so it's not surprising he's popping up on the score sheet there.
Yeah, Ben Theron, lots of finesse. I remember in the Markham tournament there, he's got a lot of finesse. Really got some skill, really good small area player in that sense. And then from Oakville, a couple guys here. Ryan Baxter, goal and an assist, and Ryan Goddard on a goal and assist. So those couple players really jumped up and really took charge in that game for Oakville. And then another game here, and then I'll let you jump into it from the SCTA. So Burlington 6-1 win over Grey Bruce. So Philip Macarian, apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly, had a couple goals in that game. Burlington, another couple players, Hudson Gill and Ryder Cook, had a goal and an assist each. Ryder Cook's a player who's been tearing it up for Burlington so far, been making an impact in their games, putting up some points, really making an impact. So those are some guys from Burlington to keep an eye on as well. But those are a couple SCTA games, but the standings in the SCTA are tight. Niagara North, Halton, Burlington, Hamilton really up top there. Niagara North, Halton actually meet this coming week here on Wednesday. So that'll be a really tight game of a couple undefeated teams, Ryan.
Yeah, no, that's going to be really good. It's interesting to hear those results, and it's always nice to kind of go through those box scores and catch up on the recent news, right? And I was able to get to one SCTA game last week, Halton Hamilton. So I mentioned that I'm going to mention another 07, and like write the name down, take a mental note, whatever you need to do. Matthew Schaefer, defenseman from Hamilton. He's an 07. He was wearing 52 for them. Usually wears 48 as with the U15 Hamilton Junior Bulldogs. But wow, he is unbelievable. I thought he was probably the best player in the game. He got a goal. I haven't posted that one online, and we haven't put that up on our Instagram yet. But I've got a whole bunch of highlights. I just haven't gotten to it. I've been busy. A lot of hockey and a lot of like life stuff. So we'll get those up soon, but he is an excellent defenseman, skates extremely well, and he shoots the puck well, crisp. Everything, all his touches are good. He's got finesse, he's got skill. He's really good player. So another 07 to add to the to list there. And you actually mentioned to me that he played up again another game, so that would be interesting if that was made permanent, because I think he's good enough. I think he'd be like really good addition to that Hamilton team, which I think is a deep team. I kind of like Aiden Russell as well. Number 92 there. He's a nice forward.
Oh, Braden Russell, eh?
Braden Russell. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's got nice edges. He's fast, and the results didn't show for him in the game, but I thought he was moving to the right spots and doing the right things. It just he just wasn't getting hit with the passes when he'd make those moves, but that just didn't sync up that game in particular. But I liked what he was doing, and I noticed it. So yeah, thank you for the correction there. Like I brought him up impromptu, so I appreciate that, buddy.
No worries.
And yeah, Halton, Hunter McKenzie, he's really good. He got a kind of sniped 5-hole with a powerful kind of low shot. Really nice. He's a good player. He was being really physical, throwing big hits. I think he's kind of a complete left shot kind of forward there that does a lot of good things. He plays physical, plays hard. He in puck battles, like he wins those stick checks and wins those pucks, and passes the puck well. He's got a crisp stick, and I like him a lot. I think he's a good player. Chris Soares, left shot forward, another good one there. He's got a nice snapper, nice release, and he's a puck hound. I love a lot of his game. He's always after it and playing hard. So I like him too. A new one kind of on their team because I known about the other two before, but a new one that stood out for me in that game was Aiden Cormack, number 19, a left defenseman. I really liked his game. I think he was quarterbacking the power play a little bit. I think his shot, it's crisp, it's strong, it's dating's good. He's kind of that power play quarterback that like at this level, like I think he's one of the good ones at doing that and that overall skill set. So I really like him as a defenseman, and that's about all I got for that game. But I was only able to make one SCTA game last week. I got 3 ETA though, which we'll get to later.
Oh, that's great, and I mean it's great. I'm excited to get the chance to watch Halton and Niagara North on November. I believe it's gonna be November 3rd there, which will be exciting for me to see a battle of two undefeated teams there and catch Hunter McKenzie, Chris Soares, all those big boys there. But as we wrap up on the SCTA here, I did a top 5 for the Alliance in scoring, so I'll do a little top 5 here for the SCTA. Chris Soares leading the way. He had a massive game against Grey Bruce. I believe he had 7 points in that game, so he's leading the way in scoring in the SCTA. 16 points, Ryan, in 4 games played, 9 goals, 7 assists. And then his teammate right behind him, Hunter McKenzie, 4 games played as well, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points. And then, of course, we got third in scoring there, Luca Testa from Niagara North, 3 games played, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points there. And then we got Dean Georges, apologize if I pronounced that wrong, but from the Hamilton Junior Bulldogs, 5 games played, 4 goals, 5 assists, and 9 points. And then you got Dominic DiFrancesco from the Niagara North Stars, 3 games played, 3 goals, 6 assists, for 9 points there. So there's top 5 in the CTA scoring as we hit this point in the season here, Ryan.
Yeah, I want to jump in. That Hamilton player that was 4th. What was that name again?
Dean. Apologize if I pronounced this again wrong. Dean Georges.
Yeah, he was good actually. I want to mention him. I didn't write down much about him at the game, but I noticed him a lot in the London tournament, and I didn't mention any players from Hamilton after. So I've liked him. I think he's good. He's a smaller forward, but he does a lot of really good things. Like he's really, really fast. He's got a great stick. He's great at passing the puck and distributing and being that playmaker. So I hadn't looked at the stats yet. So it's making me feel like my scouting is pretty much on point because I did mention the top guys so far on the podcast. But yeah, it's good that we go through this because, I mean, with all the names and all the scouting, like, you know how it is, it gets like kind of overwhelming. So I did want to say a note there when I heard you mention his name because he has been strong. So that's good.
Absolutely. So there's kind of a top 5 for the SCTA in scoring so far. But I know in addition to the Alliance SCTA, the ETA had quite the week here. I know you got to attend a fair bunch of games there as well. So I'll let you kind of jump into the ETA and a bunch of the games you saw here, Ryan.
Yeah, no, the ETA, I saw a lot this week and a lot of stuff that I liked. Like it's always a strong loop and it's always fun to watch. And that was the loop that I played in growing up. So I always got a little bias towards ETA there. I love going to ETA games, but to get into kind of some games that I saw and what I liked, I saw Quinty and Richmond Hill. Quinty, like I mentioned before, we went into a lot of detail about Ethan Toms, Braden Rogers, who else we have? Ben Danford, and who else did I mention? Quinty. There was one more, but oh yeah, Langford. So I'm not going to go into those ones, but just another guy from Quinty that's really standing out is Beckett Ewert. He's a forward, a right shot forward. He's got a really nice curling drag. It's nice. It's beautiful to watch. It's poetry in motion. It's lovely stuff. So if you're gonna watch Beckett Ewert, check out that curling drag. And he's a great playmaker, great passer. I like a lot of the decisions he makes on the ice, the hockey sense. He skates to open ice, and without the puck, his movement is really, really good. So Wanted to mention him. I also caught York Simcoe Express versus Peterborough. York Simcoe, we have actually an interview later in this podcast with Daniel Vasic. So I'm not going to talk too much about him now. We'll leave that for the post-interview analysis. But another guy I liked on the York Simcoe Express was Adam Matar. Really, really good forward for YFC. He gets after it. He plays the body. He's physical. He's a scorer. He's got a wicked snapshot, and he's always like out there, kind of, I don't know, like he plays hard in all the ends, and he disrupts in the defensive end, gets in the way, and has a good stick, and wins a lot of battles, wins a lot of puck battles, gets to a lot of pucks first. So Adam Matar is a guy that I really liked and wanted to mention here. What else did I see? Barrie versus Ajax. So I mentioned before Van Williamson on Ajax. I mean, he's just such a special skater, and I like him a lot. I'm not going to mention too much more because I already got into him a bit, but Lucas Thuram is another one that I liked that I've mentioned before. But on Ajax, who else do we got here? I got this pulled up. Got Ethan McDonald is one that I really like. Is it Ethan McDonald who we got here? Sorry, Connor.
No worries. Now you mentioned Beckett Ewart there. What you're pulling that up? Beckett Ewart on Quinny there. He's second in scoring there in the ETA for Quinny. 16 points in 10 games here. Six goals, 10 assists. Ethan Prosh is in leading the way there. 18 points, 7 games, 10 goals, 8 assists there. And then, Braden Rogers, third in ETA scoring there.
That was the other one I think I forgot to mention. He was the one that didn't pop into my head. So I mentioned Rogers, and yeah, Mike McIver was the other one. So yeah, I actually hadn't mentioned Langdon yet. He's a really, really good player on Quinty as well. But I got the Ajax stuff up here. Sorry about that, folks. Ethan McDonald, really, really good player. He got the game winner with 18 seconds left. I got it on video, so that's another video we're going to get up there. But a player I really, really wanted to mention for this episode, Sean Doherty. Doherty, 94. He's got 8 points in 7 games. He is fast. And when I say fast, possibly the fast, like some of his bursts could be the best, like at the higher end of this age group. Really fast. So yeah, watch out for Sean Doherty. He's a good player. And then to get into the Barrie Junior Colts here, I got a couple of guys on there that I liked. Dracula, the defenseman, he's really good. Really, really tall, kind of sturdy guy. I was looking at the points. He doesn't have any points yet. So sometimes those defenseman points can be sort of kind of like it can be misleading in a way because he makes that excellent first pass, and he could be missing out on some secondary assists because usually refs don't see that because they're busy with like watching the game and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's missing out on some points. He's a really, really good defenseman, like overall, and yeah, like he's really the only one I wanted to mention from Barrie. I think they have a good team. I think that they're deep, and there's some players I like, but before I start mentioning them on the pod, I want to see a bit more from other guys, but. That defenseman Dracula is the one I wanted to bring up for this episode. And I think I hit all 3 games here. So yeah, that's it.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, just
one more. Sorry.
Oh, one more. All right, go ahead there.
Richmond Hill, and Quinty. So I mentioned Quinty, but for Richmond Hill, David Bidkowski, he's a defenseman, 6'3". He's really good. He skates well. He's tall. Obviously at 6'3", he's a very good player, and he's solid. Like he's got a great stick, physical, and a really good player that I like. Julian Rotundo is really fast. He's a forward. I think he's up there in points this year. Really, really good player. He's got the speed, and like a north-south speed is a big strength for him. Danny Tamakos is another one. Smaller, kind of diminutive sized forward there, but he, like, you wouldn't know it too much by how he plays. He plays the body, and he's very physical, throws some big hits on some bigger guys, and 5'7", 145, as it says on their roster that I have in front of me. But I like him a lot. I think he's a really good player, really dynamic offensively as well. And Nate Brentnell is another one. I mean, a forward that does a lot of stuff you like, gets to those pucks first, and really, really good playmaker. So, yeah, those are 4 from Richmond Hill I wanted. I'm done now. Sorry.
No, no, it's all good. I love it. It's I mean, as you look at the ETA, Quinny's kind of off to a phenomenal start here. They're undefeated through 10 games here, 10-0, 20 points. And then you got kind of a group in the middle here with Richmond Hill, Markham, YSE, Clarington. I'd say Oshawa's in there as well, 12, 12, and 9, respectively. Markham, YSE at 12, and then Clarington, Oshawa at 9. There's Quinny's obviously at the top there, but lots of room in the middle there for things to figure itself out as we progress here in the season, the ETA. And then I mentioned a few guys who are leading the ETA and scoring there. But obviously Ethan Prosh is in, leading the way there. Beckett Ewert and Braden Rogers on D, really running away with kind of a D scoring race title, I guess you could say. And then Nate Brentnell, who you just mentioned there from Richmond Hill, 9 games played, 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. And then Jacob Tarian, guy we had on last week, 9 games played, I believe, 8 games played, 9 goals, 4 assists for 13 points there. So Tarian making an impact for Clarington there. So just some big stuff going on in the ETA. So there's some big stuff. Alliance, SCTA, ETA for our listeners and audience there. We're really gonna have some fun in the next episode because the G's about to get going. At the time of this recording, we're recording this on a Monday, so the G's actually getting going tonight. So the G's, we're pumped to get the G going, get them into the mix here with all the games. They got a big weekend coming up with lots of games, so I'm hoping to head to some there. But in addition to that, in addition to all that fun stuff with the Alliance, SCT, ETA, all those games, the Silver Stick, Ryan, the Whitby Silver Stick release their schedule, release their groups, Ryan. We'll go through this a bit for our audience here. Just looking at the first group, Ryan, I'll run through this here. That first group 1 at the Silver Stick is going to have Huron Perth, Mississauga Sens, Bishop Kearney, 15Us,
Nice.
Thunder Bay Kings, and the Whitby Wildcats. Ryan, just hearing those teams, what kind of your thoughts on that first group there?
The first group, yeah, the team that really stands out for me is the Bishop Kearney Selects. It's nice to have an American program, such a fantastic program they've got down there. I mean, we've had a player from their team, like a couple players actually, I think, from their team on our podcast last year. So I really think that they're a heck of a program, and it's nice that they're coming up. I think that that could be a sneaky challenge for the Mississauga Sens. You expect them to run away with the group. Like the Silver Stick is always challenging and whatnot, but Mississauga Sens are my top ranked team. Even despite the loss at the Markup tournament to JRC, I still think that they're the top team in the U16, the overall Ontario loop, and I think that could be a sneaky game for them. I don't know if you actually mentioned this to me, so I'm kind of stealing your thunder here. But I totally agree with you when you made that point with me over text a while back.
No, I think Bishop Kearney. I mean, some of these American teams really come up here and kind of sneakily make some noise. But Bishop Kearney, although I think they're kind of a newer program within kind of U16, I know they really made an impact last year. Obviously, we had Luke McNamara, Matthew Lee from the Bishop Kearney 15U team last year. But this year, I mean, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, according to my hockey rankings, they're ranked number 3 among American 15U. So they're a team that's up there, and they're just coming off of this past weekend. They're coming off a win at a big tournament, the Exposure Hockey Cup there in the U.S. there, and so their team, although the Sens, they're still my favorite in that group there. I think they would be for you too. That game will be, I believe it's happening Friday or Saturday night. That game between between the Sens and the Bishop Kearney, and that'll be one heck of a game. So for anyone who's there, that'll be a must-see, eh?
I will be there. I'm booking it now. I'm booking it right now. That's one that I gotta be at. I've got 2 games booked for the Silver Stick. I got London Quinty on Thursday, and then Bishop Kearney and Sens on Friday. But then, the Silver Stick is the best tournament of the year for me, maybe besides the OHL Cup.
Yeah.
I love Silver Stick. I always go all day. Like, I always book my vacation days for that Thursday, Friday. I do not work. I even booked the Monday off so I can recover after all that craziness at the Silver Stick. It's my favorite tournament of the year. I see Bobby Mack there sometimes. Bob McKenzie, the guru, sometimes stands with he puts a fedora nice and low, the low brim kind of fedora thing, so no one can see him. But I seen him there, and so there's a lot of people watching that. Like, you see former NHLers walking through the halls. Like, it's a big tournament. So yeah.
No, absolutely. So that's kind of group one there. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Interesting to note Thunder Bay's in that division. And actually, for anyone who's forgotten, they would have the Thunder Bay Kings would have actually been playing in the GTHL last season. And I forget the exact details of it, to be honest. But they would have been playing in some GTHL games last season had it not been for the pandemic. And this year they are participating in GTHL play. And they're starting it off. They're not playing the first kind of week or group of games, but they are playing the weekend of November 12th, 13th. They are playing Friday against the JRC. I believe it's Friday against the JRC, if my November 12th date's correct. But they are starting the season off with a couple tough games in the JRC and Marlboros. So if you are in the Toronto GTA area and want to check out kind of a northern team that's, I think, could make some noise, there's a dangerous team at the tournament. Thunder Bay will be playing in some GTHL games, so it'll be fun to see them down here in some more games, I think. But in addition to that, Group 1 there, Group 2, Ryan, Barrie Junior Colts, Brantford 99ers, Chatham Kent Cyclones, Hamilton Junior Bulldogs, and the Vaughan Kings are in that group. I think for me, the big two in that group, based off what I saw at Markham especially, Vaughan and Brantford will be battling out for that top spot. I think Hamilton could sneak in there for that top spot as well. But I think Brantford and Vaughan will be interesting to see how that'll be a really fun game for them to play. They actually faced each other at the Markham tournament where Vaughan took it 2-1. So really tight game it'll be between those two. But just any thoughts on the Group 2 there in the Silver Stick?
Not really. I think that you nailed it on the head with your points you made there. I think I'd agree with you that those are the top two teams, Vaughan and Brantford. It comes down to like certain things. Like, you look at, I think Brantford with Lucas Carmiris could put them over the top there, but and I don't know, like Sam O'Reilly on Vaughan, like if he gets in the right spots and gets that cannon firecracker snapshot off, like Vaughan's trouble. So both like deep teams, good teams, lots of good players. So I think, the winner would probably be between those two. Hamilton is a sneaky team. But yeah, like I think it's probably between Brantford and Vaughan for that group.
And then Group 3 here, Ryan. This is a really tight group. This is going to be a tough group for all the teams involved. We mentioned Don Mills earlier. They're Don Mills Flyers in this group. London Junior Knights, Quinny's in this group. Richmond Hill and the Toronto Red Wings are in this group. So at first glance, just a tough group overall for everyone involved. Like, it's going to be real tough hockey games, fast-paced, really quick, physical games all around in that group. And it's going to be, at first glance, you probably think like Quinny's probably going to be, like, I guess you quote unquote probably favorite in the group. But I think that group could be anyone's game in the end.
Yeah, I think Quinty's probably the odds-on favorite. It'll be interesting to see. They're my third-ranked team in Ontario. I believe that was your third-ranked team as well in the recent article you wrote, right?
Yeah, I wrote they were my third ranked for my article for Recruit Scouting. Shameless plug there. If anyone wants to check that out, recruitscouting.com. Shameless plug.
Make sure you check out Connor's stuff with Recruits. Connor does great work for them. So Recruit Scouting, like, get on there and see Connor's content and his articles. It's good stuff. Plug for you there, buddy. Yeah, the group, Quinty probably ends up winning it. London is a tough team. I don't think that they're on par with Quinty. I think they're in like the latter half of my top 10 teams in U16 AAA, but it wouldn't surprise me if London took that opening game on that Thursday night. I think Quinty will probably take it. They got less to travel for that first game. London will be traveling a long ways. I'd be surprised if London won, but you never know, right? I think it'll come down to London and Quinty in the group, and that first game will be huge to start off the tournament. And Don Mills, they're probably wondering like, yeah, like when are we going to come up in this conversation? And
Toss them in there
they're going to
too.
be tough, man. Like it would not shock me if they won the group. Like I think this is in the tournament. I've gone through all the groups. I think this is like probably the deepest group, like in terms of like they have a top 3 team, and then they got like 2 top 10 teams, but then they also have like all the other teams are good. So I think that's probably your deepest tournament group.
Oh, I mean, you mentioned the Don Mills. They're wondering when they're going to jump in. I'm sure Toronto Red Wings are wondering when they're
Yeah,
jumping in.
exactly.
And the Red Wings coming off a
Yeah,
great tournament here, like
yeah,
in Kingston there. And I mean, they're a team for me. They got a lot of they've got a deep squad. They've got a tight knit group. They're well coached. They got high effort, high work ethic. They've got skill. They got finesse. They got guys up front like Barrie, Morello, Sellers who can put the puck in the net, play the two-way game there. But they're a team for me. When they play to their capability, the Red Wings, man, they're a team. Don't take them lightly. For the other teams in the group, you can't take the Red Wings lightly, man.
yeah.
It'll be fun to watch them.
Well, they're very well coached too by Anthony Stewart. I was watching him coach them up there in the London tournament, and he was writing notes and working hard. And nice to see a player like Anthony in the U16 loop coaching, and it's awesome to see. Like I love that stuff, and he was a really good player too. Wow, like he was an ex-NHLer. Like I mean, he's on Hockey Night in Canada, so he's a heck of a coach, and he's got a great team there. So part of this whole conversation about it being such a good tournament group is like, I mean, you also have Richmond Hill. I've kept a very high standard for like who I kind of have mentioned on the pod so far. Like, I mentioned like I went to the whole Barrie tournament. I only mentioned 2 players, and then I've also mentioned from one game 4 players from Richmond Hill. So just to put that all into perspective, I think it's a really strong tournament group, and I think whoever wins that group is probably going to go into the quarterfinals with some fire.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. And we'll mention this later. I'll talk while we're kind of on the topic of a tough group. I'll mention the tournament format here, of who makes it to the corners at quarterfinals. Actually, it's actually so there's 7 groups, and it's the winners of each group. So the division winner, makes it to the quarters, and then there's going to be one wild card team. So the top second place team. So really, it'll be interesting. It's whatever group you're in. If you're gonna lose, you can't lose big. It's got to be
Yeah.
a tight game. In your other games, you got to find a way to put up some goals there, and kind of keep not allow many goals as well. So that group's gonna be tough, man.
I want to make a point here, and I mean, people don't have to listen to me, but I was at the Silver Stick, and there was people getting mad when teams were running up the score, and I didn't say anything to these people, but you really can't get mad at teams when they run up the score because they're working with like in this tiebreaker. It's a very difficult tournament, and to get that tiebreaker spot, you have to have that goal differential for the ratio because they do a mathematical equation for that. So I don't think like it's really reasonable for people to complain about them running up the score. I have heard that a lot at the tournament. I spent a lot of time there, so it's just something I wanted to mention. And
I
um,
I to that point there, I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I'd say don't get mad at the team. I'd say look at the rules, because I when I was younger playing tournaments, and what tournaments did to prevent that type of thing was, in the end, you cap the goal differential of the game at 5. So you can't, even if you run up the score, the max goal fours, the max goal differential you can ultimately add to your previous whatever it was
right.
would be 5, which told me ultimately you end up working on puck possession. You work on little things instead of just keep putting the puck in the net, because in the end those goals really don't matter in the end. But to your point there, just these teams, they're fighting for their tournament lives there. So ultimately, don't hate the player, hate the game.
And
You
there and
know?
there's a lot of scouties. There's a lot of scouties at Silver Sticks. So I mean, I think that's kind of a ridiculous comment. Like a lot of people were making. I'm not just bringing this up because like 1 or 2 people said it. I've noticed it a lot. So
No, absolutely. But well, we talked about Group 3 there being tough, but another tough division here for Group 4. I'd say as well. Group 4 has Clarington, Elgin, North Central, North York, and the Southern Tier Admirals in that group. And I'd say it's going to be an interesting division, that group. I'd say up front, you look at North York, and just based off their play, their tournament win here, they're probably an early kind of favorite. But I'd say don't take Clarendon, don't take Elgin, don't take North Central lately, and Southern Tier is interesting in the SCTA, so don't take that group lightly. But North York, I'd say you probably put as a favorite to win that group, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Like right now, Kevin Key is out. So for those that don't know, because he hasn't come up on the pod yet, he's out with an injury, and he's one of the top players in the entire U16 loop. Like he's one of the players that I have in the conversation for a potential first overall pick. He absolutely tears it up, and I mean he's won all like these Carnegie Valley scoring titles and whatnot. So I'm not sure if he's going to be back. Is he going to be back for this?
I don't know if he'll be back. We don't know the full parameters of it. We just know that he's out, and we don't want to go in too much detail with respect to that, just out of respect there. But he is.
Yeah.
I don't believe he will be available.
Yeah.
With the with my source, I don't believe he'll be available for the tournament there. But North York's still a dangerous
Yeah.
team with Walton up front, Atchison, not Alanis, Alanis on that team.
Yeah.
I said Atchison, and you got Rowan Top at the back end there, who's
Yeah.
huge. So
Yeah.
that team's still a dangerous team. Probably still, I'd say the favorite there. They've also got Golton with Carson Chartier, who
Yeah.
came down from up north, who will be, in my opinion, he's an X factor for them.
Yeah, I've seen all these players. They're a really good group, and I mean, yeah, like you, even like Chris Brown, right? Like,
Oh gosh, thank you.
yeah, they're like the whole team. It's just it's a solid team as well. So like they've got a solid core. They've got a great team. So Kevin, he is a big X factor. I think even if he's not playing, he's they're still the favorite to win. If they have him, I mean, it gets to a point where like they're probably practically guaranteed to win if Kevin Key is there, but you never know. Like there's no guarantees in minor hockey, and it's it's a silver stick. So there's a lot of good teams in that group. Like Clarington's in there. We had Tarion on last week, so you never know. Like they could squeak through there and beat them, but I'd probably say North York's the favorite. Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we'll jump into Group 5 here at the Silver Stick. Halton Hurricanes, Kingston, Kitchener, and then a couple Markham teams there, Markham Majors and Waxers in the same group there. I'd say Majors and Waxers will both ultimately be battling out. You could probably put Halton into there. But Majors got a great team there, I'd say, with the Group 5 there. So they'll probably be a favorite in that group. But Halton, Waxers, and Majors, really big three in that group as well, Ryan, I'd say, in that group.
Yeah, the Markham Majors. I mean, Zane Parekh there on D's, really good, and yeah, like I like a lot of players on the majors, like Jack Dean. Um, they're a good team, so they're the favorite for sure. They're deep too. Like they don't really have any weak players at all. Like they're really strong because they're really connected to Everest Academy, so they have a lot of strong talent on that team. And I would sleep, yeah, like you mentioned, the Waxers, like never sleep on them, especially like some of their higher end talent.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Frankie
think
Morelli, Jack
Frank-
Good on that
yeah,
team.
Frankie Morelli, he might be the best D in the draft. I mean, Braden Rogers is on fire right now.
Henry
Um,
Muse. Henry Muse.
oh yeah, Henry Music. There's yeah, like that. All this stuff needs to play out. Like it's hard to say who the best D is in the draft, but Morelli's in that conversation. So him on that team and being such a deep team, you mentioned Jack Good as well. Good too. So yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I think that's another strong group. I mean, there's another couple good teams in that group. So you never know like what could happen. I think that one's probably the most like in terms of like a group. If there was going to be a surprise winner, like I think that's probably a group where you might see it. Because yeah, like it's just kind of like a deep, well-rounded group there.
No, for sure. And then jumping into Group 6 here. This one's a really tough group as well, I'd say. Really similar to Group 3 there, where we had Queenie in that group. Group 6, Lambton, Niagara North, JRC, Waterloo, and YSE, man. Just a tough. Those are gonna be some great games in that group. JRC, Niagara North actually played in the Markham tournament, so they get to go against each other again. YSE is gonna be a tough game for whoever plays them. Waterloo, just overall that group. I'd say that with the JRC's play and the quality players they have and the success they've had, you put them at the top is in that group. But honestly, it's like you said, the Silver Stick, man. Anything can happen. One off game, and you're in trouble there, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, JRC is really strong. Like they obviously beat the Sens in the final of the Markham tournament, so they're really elite and like they're my number 2 team, but it's almost like a tied for first situation right now.
The
Just
1A, 1B, eh?
yeah, they're very elite. Like Henry Muse, you mentioned. I mean, like I said, Frankie Morelli might be the best player in the draft, but then as soon as you said Henry Muse, I was like, oh, wait a second here. Henry Muse is unbelievable. So um, definitely in that conversation for first overall, Henry Muse, he's a really good player. So yeah, it's that's a tough group. Like Daniel Vasic, who we're gonna have in an interview later in this podcast episode. He's on YSE. They're a pretty solid squad. They're deep. All good teams in that group. I mean, the other teams you mentioned are all really good as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. If
Yeah,
see if anyone could challenge JRC, right?
yeah, absolutely. So it'll be fun to watch that group play out. And then last but certainly not least, Group 7 here. You got Ajax Pickering. There's a team from Edmonton, SSAC, who's coming here. Sudbury, Nickel Capitals, the Marlboros, and then Windsor Junior Spitfires are going to be in Group 7 there. It'll be fun to see Sudbury there, Ryan. It's tough to see, it's tough to see those northern teams, but when they come down, it's great to get a chance to watch them, get a look at them. I know one player in particular, Nolan Newton. Um, he's a player who's really been making an impact early for that Sudbury team in their play up north. But I'd say the Marlboros and Spitfires are going to be the couple of teams in that group who I'd say you look at as early favorites for the quarters, for a possible quarterfinal berth there. But Marlboros, obviously, we got kind of Sam Dickinson, Carter Lowe, Beckett Seneke, um, who else there? Justin Bonno on the Marlboros. You got the Josh LePayne, Josh Harden, just the Spitfires in their depth. They're having a good season with the Alliance. So that Group 7 there is going to be a fun group to watch, I guess, in terms of you got the North teams, the North team coming. Get a look at them, and then you got the Marlboros and Spitfires, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up when the Marlboros and Spitfires play because that's gonna be a game I'm gonna want to see, especially having not seen Windsor yet this year.
Thursday at 3:30.
Yeah, I'll be at that. I'll definitely be at that. I got the days booked, so I'm definitely gonna be there all day, every day. So yeah, I'm gonna get that one circled soon. And when I get to planning my schedule, we still got some way. We still got a ways away, but that'll be a great game. I think the Marlies will take the group. Edmonton will be interesting. Edmonton typically gets dumped pretty good in these tournaments, but it's one of those teams that's it's kind of a wild card, right? So like let's say this particular year they could have some superstars and then come down and really kind of give the teams a run for their money. But generally they get taken it to pretty good in this tournament. But we'll see what they got.
Because the Western teams will be the Western Edmonton will be interesting as well. Because I was talking to some people who do the WHL draft, and those drafts got pushed back. Like obviously we know how the OHL draft got pushed back slightly, and usually the WHL they have like the Bantam draft. So then those players like the 06s, their Bantam draft would have been last year for the dub, where they would have only got to play in 5-10 games in the WHL as APs, but they pushed that Bantam draft. So I believe it was actually December, but technically this season. So actually their Bantam draft's actually happening post Silver Stick. So that Edmonton team in a normal year where they might be missing some players here and there, or some players might not be available because they're possible APs. That Edmonton team might have some U16 players, some 2006 players who they might not normally get. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out. They could be, like you mentioned, a wild card team in the end. So yeah, but just as those are the 7 groups there for the Silver Stick. Once again, winners of each group make it to the quarters, and then the top second place team is the wild card team that will make it through. So no doubt it'll be a fun weekend there in the Silver Stick. Nothing like going to those freezing cold rinks at Iroquois Park there in Whitby. Hopefully it's not as freezing as it was when I went in first year. Me and my buddies were all freezing as we went from the freezing cold rink to the freezing cold outside.
Well, I gotta talk to the tournament organizers here because like you put the top team in the ETA in Quinty and the top team in Alliance in London, and then you throw them on rink 4 on Thursday night. It's like put him on pad 1 in the fancy rink there, but I'm gonna freeze my butt off and watch that game for sure. The rink 4 in the back corner there.
Yeah, I gotta find a way to bundle up for the silver
Yeah.
stick there. It's so cold.
Well,
It'll be like I'm back
my
in Canland.
sometimes my wife comes with me to like when I'm going out scouting, and she'll be like, "Oh, like where are you going?" or whatever. And like the odd time I get her to come with me, she always brings like full on blankets and stuff. I love it.
You got the
Maybe we'll
smart
get her.
setup.
She's got like a heated blanket and stuff, and it's got like it's wireless, so it's awesome.
Hey,
I should
maybe
start bringing it.
hey, maybe you should bundle up with the blanket. You can have your little note. You can have your notepad there, and you
Yeah.
can have the heated blanket. It could, yeah, you'll stand out so much more amongst the group and the crowd there. Hey,
I don't
who's
know.
that?
I don't know. I might have too many people looking at me if I do that though.
Hey, if anyone sees is at the Silver Stick and Ryan's got his bringing his warm blanket, you'll know it's Ryan because he's got the blanket. He's bundled up. But anyways, we've gotten off
That's
topic
funny.
here, but um, that's the Silver Stick. That's the details there. So with that being said, we'll jump into our first interview here with Nikolas Iafrate from the Don Mills Flyers. We got the chance to talk to him kind of about his tournament, about his game, and kind of have some fun with him. Um, about kind of his creativity that he has on the ice there. So without further ado, here's our interview with Don Mills Flyers forward Nikolas Iafrate.
All right, we are here with Nikolas Iafrate, star forward from the John Mills Flyers U16 AAA program. Nicholas, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing great, thanks. It's nice to have you on the pod. You're a great player. I mean, your team, the Don Mills Flyers, you've had success at the first couple tournaments, and I mean, you won the Barrie tournament, and you were good in the other tournament as well. Can you talk to us about like how your team's been playing so far in these tournaments, and how you think you guys have progressed from the first tournament to the second one?
Yeah, I think our team's is a really good squad. We're doing pretty good. Our defense are very, very strong, holding the guys back from other teams, especially the good players like Malcolm Spence, those guys, Hag. We're doing pretty good. We're progressing well. We could work on a couple of things, but it's mostly all good. Like our passing's pretty good. Pretty much really it. So overall, we're a good squad.
Yeah, no, you guys, you had a lot of chemistry in Barrie, and you put up a lot of points. Like, holy, it was every game you played, you guys were scoring goals, and like you said, like you're playing good defensively as well. And like part of your team's success is you individually. Like you have that howitzer shot, the firecracker trigger, we like to say on the release. Like you've got that to a T, and the definition of that firecracker like snapper. I mean, your shot's OHL ready. Like, how have you developed that shot so well?
Uh, Over the COVID, like the winter, I had 100-foot rink in the back. Be out there every day with my coach Kenny Sousa, practice my shots and my tight turns and my hands, pretty much it, and it developed my shot a lot. So that's pretty much how I got it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like, I don't know, Connor would agree with me. The velocity's awesome, eh?
Oh, it's unreal just watching it too. Just goalies must be sitting there if when they see you coming down. They just must be
Yeah.
I don't know. They must be scared out of their pants when they see you coming down, thinking, "Oh God, I got to face this shot now." So that's awesome, and it's great to see it because it puts up points in the shot. Having a great shot's a huge part of any game. I mean, watching all the OHL guys right now, you see all these amazing shots, and you see them really put it to use. So it's such a big part of your game, and it's huge. But I mean, looking at that one strength, is there an aspect of your game that you think might get overlooked or might be underrated as the season goes on here that you think people might not recognize as much because you're so good at some of these offensive things like your shot?
Not really. It's like I need to get better at a lot of things. Like I'm good forward. I just need to work on my defense, getting back to the our end, picking up a guy, reading. Pretty much it, and working harder, get my cardio up. Pretty much really it.
I like that. I like that answer that focused on the like kind of the details there, with regard to kind of the defensive end. I mean, you've already been pretty strong defensively. But I like to see kind of that you're looking to improve and looking to get better with the small details of there. But you've already been pretty strong with the 50-50 game, the 200-foot game. I mean, you're blocking shots, which is huge. I mean, I don't, it's not exactly fun blocking shots or anything like that. You got that high compete level. How do you keep that compete level so high and stay so consistent with that side of your game?
Uh, it's just my team. My team hypes me up, makes me want to like not let them down. Just work harder, get the team up, and if I do good, they're gonna do good. It's overall like a team thing. Just work hard, just try my best, do whatever I can, help my team out, my goalies and stuff. That's pretty much it.
I like that answer. It's I love hearing that team answer, especially with regard to I don't want to let the boys down because so you hear some people say, oh, I don't want to. Some people say individual stuff, but it's that team game, and I love hearing that aspect of it. I know Ryan loves hearing that kind of team oriented approach there as well.
Yeah, I like you bringing that up for sure. And I mean, defense is a team thing. Let's face it. Like if there's one player in your own end that's missing their assignment and not working hard, it's gonna affect the whole group. And you don't want to let your teammates down. I love that answer. I think that's great. If you had 3 words to describe yourself as a player, like 3 kind of punchline words, like what would they be and why?
Be creative, like try new things. Yeah, just try new things. This is a hard one. Hardworking.
Yeah, nice.
Let me think. Nifty, I guess.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good one.
Yeah.
Nifty's a good one. I like that. That's a Nifty's a really good one, eh, Ryan?
Those are great words to describe your game. Like when I was in Barrie, you got a penalty shot and you came in and you did like the wind up like you were doing the slap shot. Then you just kind of, I don't know, like you just kind of like you completely fooled the goalie and just put it 5-hole or something like low on the ice.
I was
just
at the other end. So I was thinking, I knew I was gonna get a breakaway.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I couldn't beat the D, so I got a penalty shot. I was thinking about the Kucherov, like fake slap shot, stick handle over the puck and let it slide in. That's what I was thinking. I always want to do a Kucherov, so and it worked.
I mean, and you said for like 2 of the words to describe your game, creative and nifty. Like I don't know how you can get more creative and nifty on a penalty shot. That was really awesome. Like I got that one on video. We're gonna have to get that one up online soon. And I don't know, maybe we did post that one?
No, we still gotta put that one up.
We still gotta put that one up. Yeah,
they're gonna see that on the YouTube. They're gonna see that on the YouTube. People are gonna see that on the social. And they're gonna love that. Have you tried the Kucherov at practice?
Yeah, I try it in the battles and stuff. It works. It works sometimes. Most of the time, fool the goalie.
I'm sure
our goalies are pretty solid.
I'm sure your goalies must love it when you try that though, especially if you beat them too. You probably chirp them about that, eh?
Yeah, it's fun. Me and my buddy Luca DeFelitte's one of the goalies. We all have fun and stuff.
Hey man, that's what hockey's all about, right? Having fun with your buddies and your teammates. And I mean, you guys are like, you play like a close knit group. Like, do you feel like your team's really tight? I think that's a big strength of your team.
Yeah, our team is really tight. Like, there's no arguing, no fights. It's just a great squad. Probably the best squad out there, I think. It's really good. Everybody's friends with each other. Everybody likes each other. Everybody works hard. Overall, really good. The coaches and stuff are very good. Helps us a lot.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like, and it shows. Like, I think you guys could be slipping under the radar as like an underrated team. And I think you're gonna have a great year in the GTHL. I can't wait to watch you guys in league games and see how you do. It's gonna be awesome to watch. And like, I mean, do you have any players in the NHL you specifically model after for your game?
I like Austin Matthews because it reminds me of my release. Like it's quick. His my hands aren't as good as his. Past like unimaginable hands he has. And then another player is Ovechkin, like the slap shot and how hard his shot is. That's two players. That's all I have pretty much.
Honestly, the Ovechkin one makes a lot of sense, and yeah, Matthews. I mean, his hands are ridiculous. There's not very many people in the world, if any, that have the hands like that, right? Right, Connor?
Oh, Matthews is just gross. So it's the shot comparison there is on point, and the hands. I won't don't sell yourself short. Matthews up there, one of the top players of the game, but he's incredible. But I mean, we talked about like an NHL athlete there. And I'll jump into a non-hockey one for you. A couple fun questions here. Do you have a favorite non-hockey athlete?
Not really. I like Tom Brady.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good one. I like that.
The GOAT, eh? Do you think he's
Right.
gonna? Think he's
Good
gonna
team player.
go? Sorry, go ahead.
He's a really good team player. I think he got drafted like really, really low, and he brung himself up. He kept on working hard. And it's kind of like my idol. I think I could do that too if I work my ass off, and hopefully be a great player one day.
I mean, Brady. He's probably he's got to be the GOAT in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really, just with what he's done and all that. Do you think he's gonna get another Super Bowl this year?
Oh, for sure. I think so.
I like that. I don't know. I was talking to one of my I think it was one of my roommates. He's like, I just want Brady to retire. Give someone else the turn to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's really, really.
He might play till he's 50 with the way he keeps going. And I mean, it's weird. He gets older and his arm keeps getting better. And it's like, come on, man, give someone else a chance. Like, geez.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I mean, we'll go away from sports here completely for this question. This is kind of a fun one I like. If you could transform into any animal for 24 hours, what animal would you transform into?
Maybe a bull.
Oh, nice. Never had that one before. That's
yeah,
great.
I don't know. Maybe a bull. It'd be kind of cool. Be like a beast.
That's sick. I like that.
Yeah.
You ever seen when they got like the bull running in Spain, kind of where they got like the flags and the bulls come running and you have to like dodge them? That's, I don't know. That'd be pretty scary to be on the other end. So like being a bull probably wouldn't be too bad in that situation. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you got like all those bull sports where people like ride them and try not to get franked off. So I mean, bulls, don't mess with bulls as an animal. So that's a really good pick there. And it's a new one for an animal pick. So that's awesome. But listen, Nikolas, man, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I know we've taken a lot of your time today, so really appreciate you taking the time. I know the G's getting underway here very soon, so just best of luck with the G season. Best of luck at the more tournaments you guys are participating in. Best of luck with the rest of the season and at the OHL draft, man.
Thank you.
All right, that was our interview with Nikolas Iafrate from the Don Mills Flyers U16 AAA program, and just a great time talking to him. For me, right off the bat, one of the things that stood out while we were talking to him was when we asked him his three words to describe him as a player. He really took the time to think about it. With the creativity, the hardworking, and the niftiness. I like the word he used there with nifty. That's the first one that someone said, and I really like that because that's an angle that you don't hear many players take with, oh yeah, I got that niftiness. I can be creative, combine that with my creativity, and then ultimately it sets him up for that phenomenal scoring ability and that shot he has, Ryan.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, this is the third time bringing up the Kucherov move, but because I brought it up at the start of the pod, and then we brought it up in the interview, and then here it's like to think about that stuff and to practice that stuff. He mentioned practicing it in practice against goalies on his team and just having fun there and like working on different things, being creative, thinking the game, like think outside the box. You don't need to follow what everyone else is doing. If you can come up with a new move, like why not? Like the lacrosse move isn't going to be the only nifty move that comes up in the next 10 years. There's going to be something else that everyone's going to be trying and doing. So be creative, and I love it. I love that that he does that and takes chances. Because like you think about it, like to try to pull the Kucherov move in a tournament, like that's a like you got to think that he's got some guts there to try to do that, right?
No, absolutely. And I just think the situational awareness, I think, when we were talking to him, I think he has the hockey IQ to understand that. I know he did it on a penalty shot, but in a game, and like if he were to do that in a live game situation, with his sense, with his hockey sense and his hockey IQ, I think he's got that situational awareness to understand, hey, I got this chance here to do it. It's a great time to do it. But maybe in a different situation, okay, maybe I just got to go for a shot here, use my shot and pot it here rather than be fancy and risk a turnover or whatever it is like that. So I think that really stood out to me about his game with his hockey sense. But also another thing that stood out that I think stands out that's off ice and on ice is his work ethic. I mean, he used the word hardworking, and I mean, what was the number he used for his shot for how many for working on the shot? What was it, 1,000?
A day or a week or something? 1,000 a week?
1,000 a day, a week, whatever it is. 1,000's a lot, regardless
That's
of
a
whether it's a
lot.
day, a week. I mean, that just shows the work ethic, the time and effort he puts into making that shot what it is, and it's already a. I mean, you used the word OHL ready shot, and I mean, it shows. Like he's whenever he's coming down, they give him a puck in the offensive zone, whether it be off the rush or off the cycle, in that ozone in a scoring opportunity, he's bound to put it in with that shot. So I think ultimately that just showed his work ethic there, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, I might get in a little bit of trouble with Nikolas here when I bring this up, but like right at the start of the game, he took a position, a defensive position, and then so center kind of ties up the other center, and then the play is he skates in, gets the puck, and then takes a shot to start the game, right? And I could tell it was kind of a set play, and I could be blowing it for them for future games, but he's got to like when he gets in there, gets that puck and hit that shot, I was just like, whoa. Like right away, it's like you write down the number, and you're only 5 seconds into the game. So he's got that firecracker release. Like we like to say that firecracker release on those guys that really kind of get after it and hit those, and it really pops, right? Really
Yeah.
popped off that stick. Like this is the definition of that, and it's an OHL ready shot. Like he's got a better shot than like half the OHL right now, like half the OHL, which is like insane, right? So it's like really high velocity, really hits it hard. Like I don't know, man. If you're standing like on the glass and he hits one and misses the net and it hits in front of your face, your ears are probably going to be ringing for 10 seconds.
You're probably doing what I just did.
Oh yeah,
You're
you might go
flinching.
deaf. You might have to go see an ear doctor or something. I know an ear doctor is probably not the correct term, but I don't know what an ear doctor is. But anyways, but my buddy's dad was an ear, nose, throat specialist, so and it was called something. I don't know what it's called though. But anyways, so that's I don't know, that's an aside. But yeah, no, he's a great player. Like I think he's got a great motor. He skates well. Does a lot of really great things. Like physical, strong. I mean, with the shot, I mean, he comes by it honestly. His uncle is Al Iafrate. So for those who may not remember Al Iafrate, he was a former NHLer. And at the 1993 All-Star game with a Twiggy, so he had like a wooden stick, like normal stick, right? Didn't even have one of those fancy sticks that they have today and whatnot. 1993, he blasted one 105.2 miles per hour. So his uncle, like, I don't know if he got a few tips from his uncle on that shot there, but he comes by it honestly through the heritage and bloodlines, eh?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we talk about so much of his offensive game with that shot, especially, and it's really a driver for his game, as we talk about it. But I mean, also you look at his, and we talked about his work ethic earlier. But I mean, his defensively, what really stood out to me is also when talking to him, he wants to work on his defensive game, really work on the little details of his game. And he's already with his work ethic, it creates a solid defensive game already. But just to find that extra level that he wants to get to with his strength, his defensive skills, and his defensive ability, that really stood out to me. And that will to get better, which is really something you really love to see. And I think that really shows coachability as well in a player, which is something I think any OHL team, any coach would love to have on their team, I think.
Yeah, you gotta like that. Like he definitely seemed coachable during the interview. He seemed like he's working hard, trying to improve. He knows where his weaknesses are, where he's trying to fix. And the other thing about like another intangible thing that you might not notice just watching a game, like and you get from these interviews, right? Another intangible is that he's a good teammate.
Yeah,
He kept bringing up his
absolutely.
teammates. And I mean, anytime I do an interview, and I probably shouldn't even say this because I don't want it to influence like future players' interviews, but like the Brian Burke thing, like if you ask a player, what's your favorite memory in minor hockey, and if they bring up like an individual thing, it's not a great thing. Like you want them to talk about the championships they won with their team and different things like that. So like it's good to talk about individual stuff, but the fact that he kept bringing up the teammates like over and over again, I thought that was interesting, and I really liked that.
Yeah, it was just a real like as a character thing. Like it really just shows
Yeah.
what a great, genuine person he is, and great teammate, great player. In addition to being a great player individually, great person off the ice. Which is, I mean, we talked about it when we were talking with Marty Williamson over the summer there, about what he was looking for when he was drafting players and stuff. And one of the things they look for is, in addition to the great player you want that genuine great person on your team, and
Yeah.
those are the people. I mean, they're on the ice for they play a 60-minute game, but ultimately they're in your rink. They're around you more often as a person than a player. So I think that's just huge.
Yeah, and being around, like I live in the Burlington area, so I get to a lot of Bulldogs games, and I like the stuff that they put up on the score, like on the video board or whatever during intermission, and they talk about, I mean, like what we want Hamilton Bulldogs players, and like they want that dedication. They want to develop good people and good players. So I love that from the Hamilton Bulldogs. I think that's great stuff. Um, developing them into players. So they want to kind of take a good kid, a good person, and then mold them into a good man, like a good person in life. And I think that's great. And I think it's not just the Bulldogs. Obviously, you mentioned the Colts with Marty Williamson. It's all the OHL teams. They really develop these guys into excellent young men overall. And it's not just related to hockey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, on that note, I mean, I think Iafrate is going to be whatever team he ends up going to as we get to the OHL draft, which is still a ways away. Whichever team he goes to, they're going to get a phenomenal player and a phenomenal person. So just once again, thanks so much to Nikolas for taking the time to talk to us there. But on that note, we'll jump into our next interview that we had with the player that we had the chance to talk to. I know you got the chance to watch him live. I'm looking forward to getting the chance to really watch him live. I've seen some highlights, seen some video, but honestly, York Simcoe Express forward Daniel Vasic, just phenomenal player. So without further ado, here's the interview with forward Daniel Vasic.
All right, we are here with Daniel Vasic, our center from the York Simcoe Express U16 AAA program. Daniel, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good, thanks. Like, nice to have you on the pod. You're one of the top prospects for the 2022 OHL draft, and looking at the stats today, you're tied for fourth in ETA scoring, 6+6 for 12 points in 8 games, which is solid, point and a half a game in that tough ETA league. I mean, there's lots of facets of your game that we like, and it pretty much starts with skating, right? Like, you know this, like you make tremendous cuts, you have great edges, excellent burst to blow by defensemen in a blink, and it's awesome to watch. Like, what type of training do you do to just become so great at skating overall?
It's just been over the years, really. Before I wasn't the greatest skater, and I kind of was like, I really got to work on this because to play a long game of hockey, you got to be a good skater. So it's just like a bunch of like a lot of training. So like I do Gary Roberts a lot, and I try to do like a mix between dry land and on ice training. And I think the dry land really helped my speed a lot and my agility, and just a lot of training in general kind of added it up all together.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you really, it's really noticeable you do that work. And you talk about the dry land training and the burst, like that's for that agility in that first 2 steps, right? Because
Yeah.
part of your game to be able to blow by D and like other forwards, eh?
Yeah. It's games that, yeah, like I said before, it's such a huge part of hockey. Like you can't go anywhere without if you're not a good skater, and you see it in
Yeah.
today's game, everyone can skate. So you just gotta
Yeah.
become kind of a better skater.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's a huge strength of yours. Like, love your feet, quick feet. And then even like moving on to other facets of your game, your shot trigger is so quick. Um, Noticed it in the game last week that I was watching against Peterborough. You really get those wristers off with like high power velocity, that quick trigger. So, I mean, you must shoot like hundreds of pucks a week, and always wiring pucks. Like, how have you developed that great wrister?
It's I always knew that shooting was gonna be important as well, and I kind of on my free time I'll take a lot of shots. In the summer, I was shooting about 1,000 pucks a day, or as much
Oh,
as I
wow.
could, because I knew that to be different, you gotta have a kind of a something that you kind of stand out with, and I wanted to be my shot. So I wanted to shoot a lot of pucks and just kind of have like what I said before, a different than everyone else.
That's so great. Like, I don't know if Connor's, have we heard 1,000 yet, Connor?
Nope, nope. 1,000 hasn't got that high yet.
That's
That's a new
dead.
number right there. That's dedication.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's that's crazy. I don't know. I don't think I've shot that many pucks. Ryan, have you shot that many pucks?
Not a chance. I should though.
Maybe I would have had a better shot. I would have had a better shot growing up if I took that mindset there, shooting that many pucks there. And it's shown. It's shown with the amount of points he's put up so far this season, Ryan. And I mean, he's talked about much of the offense, like your skating and the shot contribute to your offense. But another thing that contributes offensively for you is just your skill. I mean, watching you, you can dangle, kind of put on a show, deeks and dangles there, but you also use your skill and your hands effectively to really just kind of maneuver in tight in small spaces, whether it be kind of in the small areas in the corner or in tight around the net to really have that in tight finishing ability. I mean, just where's that ability and that skill kind of developed for you? How have you developed that?
I kind of just creativity really. Like I've watched a lot of highlights. I've definitely done a lot of training with skills, and kind of just adds up all together. Like kind of when I'm playing hockey, kind of just comes to me, and it's kind of just creativity really. And I'm a big believer in having puck possession. So when I get the puck, I don't want to really give it away. So I kind of hold on it to as much as possible and kind of make something happen.
That's that's awesome. I mean, you see nowadays so many coaches. It's like I've seen so many coaches talk about you work so hard to get the puck. Why give it away? So
Yeah.
with that mindset there, the puck possession, it's huge having that skill and having that ability and that creativity for that matter, to do so much in the offensive zone. But I mean, in addition to that, you have the skill. But I mean, I know Ryan's seen this in person. You have the work ethic too, and the effort that you put on the ice. Your strong forecheck, um, ability to win 50-50 puck battles, and also just in the not only in the offensive zone winning the 50-50 battles there, but also in the D zone. You're so reliable there with the two-way game. Why is that so important to you to be so consistent with those 50-50 battles and be so reliable defensively there?
Well, basically, it's just having a good defensive game is so important. And when you get to the next level, it's gonna be a lot harder. And you can't just be an offensive player to get somewhere in hockey. You gotta have the two sides of a game. And before I kind of had a weak defensive game in the past, and I've really been working on it a lot in the summer. And then it's kind of just come to me, and it's kind of just work ethic and winning all your puck battles. Meaning you get the puck more, and I love having the puck on my stick, right? So winning those puck battles is huge, and
Uh,
it's just something I really prioritize.
That's awesome. I mean, you talk about kind of prioritizing both ends of the ice there and working on it. I mean, I've been able to watch in my time working with the Ice Dogs so far, on stats and off ice official. The first game of the season, I saw Cal Ritchie, and I mean, the amount of emphasis he's put on the two-way game and being reliable. He's been out there power play, PK, and just that aspect of it. I know Ryan, you agree with me with that aspect being so important there.
Yeah, and defense comes down to hard work, right? Playing that complete game. It's that work ethic, and Cal Ritchie has that, and that's why he's having so much success. Like, when you combine that with the talent and the hard work, like look at somebody like Sidney Crosby, perfect example to follow. And it's interesting you mentioned that like it was a weakness in the past and you've addressed it, and that seeing your game and seeing just kind of how well-rounded and complete you are, it's like I actually like that even more than if it came naturally to you and you didn't really think about it too much or whatever. Like showing that you think about it and you're working on it, it's really key. And I think that work ethic is gonna help you in the long run if you keep that up. I mean, I mentioned Sidney Crosby. kind of lofty expectations there as a comparison. But are there any players like in the NHL that you model after?
I've kind of there's obviously a lot of good players in the NHL. I've got a few like Eichel, Raymond, and Pedersen. Pedersen, because every time he's on the ice, he's got this scoring touch, and he has a nose for the net. And then for Eichel, he just controls the game every time he's out there. Every time I watch Eichel, the puck's on his stick. Every time you look at Eichel, he's either doing something productive. And then Raymond's just got all the hard work and the skill. It's all put together, and he's going to be a good player for the Red Wings, and I like him a lot. He's really fun to watch.
That's great. That's such a good answer. It's so awesome to hear younger players mentioning like Raymond, a rookie in the league that you mentioned, and you no longer just get that Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin answer. It's nice that you're digging into the game and watching the young stars and what's making them so successful. I'm a little bit of a hockey card collector. I've got an Elias Pettersson Future Watch auto, and I'm not selling it. I think it's going to just keep going up in value. So I like that you like his game, and I like it too. It's really fun watching him. And I think those three players overall are great players to bring up and to mention. And kind of getting away from your game, like before the game, like any pre-game routines or superstitions that are a must for you?
Well, I'm not the biggest superstitious guy, to be honest. Like, I kind of like talking to my teammates before games and kind of taking it easy. But definitely one superstition is definitely I have to tape my stick before every game. Like, I can't go into a game without taping my stick, or else something just feels off. I like to get there like maybe an hour and 30 before, but with just taping my stick and that, it's kind of the only superstitions I have.
Yeah, well, like I thought that way too. Like, I mean, growing up, I'd even tape the backup stick sometimes, but definitely that first stick, it feels like it's nice to have that fresh tape job. You get puck nice and crisp, and with the way you're able to play with the puck and your puck skills and passing and just that crispness and the way you get your shot off, it's clear that you take care of your stick and probably work out the specs exactly the way you want and all that stuff. So that's great.
I mean, you talk about needing like the tape job on there. You have what's your tape job look like? I mean, are you one of those guys that maybe goes? Are you a fan of like the Timmy Stutzler or the wacky kind of Pasternak tape jobs? Or are you more like specific with your tape job?
Since I was a kid, I kind of just heel to toe always. Like, it's really I've stuck with it. It's worked. I've tried different tape jobs and they didn't really work. But definitely that, and it's always black tape. I feel like I can't use white tape. Something feels off when I use white tape. I'm not sure what. I tried to use it this season, and I had like an awful first period, so I had to go back to black. Like, it's just something that stuck with me. I'm not sure why.
That's that's important though. If it's not broke, don't change it type thing. You don't if the black tape's working for you, don't change it because I know if you're hot, you don't want to stop that hot streak there, which is sick. But I mean, we've talked a lot about hockey there, so I'll jump into something completely unrelated to hockey here. We'll get a little entertainment wise here. You got any TV shows, movies you're binging, watching right now? Any TV show recommendations for us or our listeners out there?
I've got a few. I'm a big Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan. Like, I'm addicted to that show. It's kind of a problem. Like, as much as I watch that show, it's what I do in my downtime. But some movie I like watching hockey movies. Obviously, like Miracle is obviously a classic. I love that movie. Just the entire thing about it kind of gets you fired up. And the Mighty Ducks are obviously a classic. Like, those are obviously some great movies to watch. But I haven't really got as many TV shows. I'm kind of really stuck on this one show.
That's sick. I like the Mighty Ducks movies right there. That's a big one. I'm the one D1, D2, D3. That I could binge watch those all day. The movie Mighty Ducks movies there. Have you gotten a chance to tune into that new kind of what's it like a revival type one that they have like the younger kids now?
I haven't got to watch as much as it. I was trying to watch it, but I've heard it's pretty good. I heard it's kind of interesting, and I'm definitely gonna try and watch it. It's got Bombay in there, which I like.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, Gordon Bombay, he was the best ever. Like, he's the original guy from the whole thing, right? Like, there's flashbacks to from Mighty Ducks 1, his flashbacks to his like years in minor hockey, and oh man, I get chills watching those movies. They're just so good for me. Like I grew up with my Mighty Ducks 1 was right in the prime spot for me, like for my demographic. So I love that. I love that answer.
Man, he looks so different, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not I saw I was watching clips and then I watched like a few of the episodes and he looked like I hate to say it, but he looks like older. Like
Yeah, he
oh,
does.
like
Yeah.
he's aged. And then there's a scene where he's like eating cake and it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? But it's like it's
Yeah, I saw that scene. Yeah, he had an entire birthday cake he was eating in his office or something like that. Yeah.
that was crazy, but like it's the whole series is pretty like it's a nostalgic type thing, and it was pretty cool to watch. Like I got the chance to watch a bit, but it was pretty cool. Um, but on that kind of sports theme there, if there was a moment in time, any moment, any sports moment, whether you want it to be there live, TV, you could relive any sports moment and be there live for it. What sports moment would it be for you?
Um, that's definitely a tough question. Like, there's so many moments in hockey that are like super important and like crazy. Like, you probably name like 10 off your head right now, but I'd probably go to either the Olympic game where Crosby buried that OT winner, or maybe that one of those World Cup games with Team North America. That team is just
Yeah.
something special. Like that, like I remember watching them on TV, but actually being there would have been really cool. Like that
You know
team had
what?
so much talent.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I was like, I was there, and I remember, like, I was like, man, their jerseys were really cool, right? So I
Yeah.
wanted to go get a jersey. I was actually going to blow the money and get a jersey. I thought this is amazing. This like should be perfect thing to get. Everything was sold out. Everything. The only thing they had was like extra small. So, anyways, keep going. Were you done there with the answer on the Team North America? I got excited because I remembered when I was there and I was trying to buy a jersey.
Yeah, like I was like even like their team right now, I think that's only gonna happen once, and I don't know if they're gonna redo it or not. But even if they do, that Team North America won't be really the same. But maybe another spot would probably just be the Matthews open goal game where he got four. Being in Ottawa would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's first time in history, like being there would have been really awesome. I got to watch it on TV, but I feel like if you were there at the actual game, it would have been just like something you couldn't stop thinking about for like a week.
Oh, that's are you a Leafs fan too? Are you a big Leafs fan?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a Leaf fan. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
relate. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a couple Leafs fans here as well, and yeah, I was
yeah,
watching Chicago and Carolina games in my house down in St. Catharines here while I'm at university, and I was yelling at the computer screen, yelling at the TV a lot. It's
yeah,
painful start to the year so far, but
yeah.
the Matthews goals back then were a big bright spot, and man, I got to watch it on TV too, and that whole thing was insane. And the World Cup, oh, I'd probably be there. I'd probably go to that Sweden game, that Sweden 4-3 OT game where McKinnon potted that nasty OT
Oh
winner.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was
That would have been
the,
nice to be there. Yeah,
the start with McDavid starting it off and Matthews potting it, and then the end with McKinnon's dangle there. That would have been sick. But I mean, those you can't go wrong with any of those picks with the golden goal, the North America team, and Matthews 4 goals in his first game there. So, but listen, Daniel, thank you so much. We've taken up a lot of your time here. Thanks so much for coming on the pod. We'll see you with YSC probably soon in the future. I mean, I know you guys are at the Silver Stick, for sure. You guys will have some tough division there, but you guys will be competing there. So we'll be excited. We'll be excited to see you there. But just best of luck with the rest of the season with YSC. Best of luck at the OHL draft, man.
thank you. It means a lot, and thank you for having me here. It's definitely been special, and yeah, I appreciate it a lot with all the thanks.
All right, there was our interview with York Simcoe Express forward Daniel Vasic. Man, just right off the bat, just such a great time talking to him, as a person and as a player. I mean, you sent me the video that he got the highlight. Basically, I got highlight reel goal he scored, like in the game. Was it against Peterborough? Yeah, Peterborough, where he got that highlight reel goal. And oh man, it just highlighted just the work ethic, the finish he has, and the finesse, all combined on one play, and just a phenomenal player, Ryan.
Yeah, I think the big strength for him is his jump
Yeah,
and his speed and acceleration. He's a really good skater. Um, Yeah, like he's got that great first two steps, and he's explosive. Excellent skater, great edges, changes of direction are really shifty, and he can be, like we mentioned the word nifty before. That's a good word to describe him. He can be really nifty with his plays, and he's got great puck skills and hands, and he can dangle. So I think he's good. Like he can finish plays too, like we saw in that one clip. We've got a bunch of clips of him to post as well, that we found. It's not hard to find highlight clips of him. He's unbelievable. So got to get those up there to promote this episode. But he's a heck of a player, and a lot of fun to watch. I think he's the best player on YSE this year. And for those that don't follow super closely, York Simcoe Express is a great program. So to be the top player on YSE is good. At like Adam Matter is also solid. I think he's among like he's I think Vasic's a bit better, but anyways, yeah, like I think he's the best player on YSC, Daniel Vasic, and that says a lot, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned his intensity, his jump that he has. You watch him; he's got that active stick that he can use on the forecheck there. Quick little stick lift, poke the puck away or whatever. Little stuff like that. Where once he's in there on the forecheck, he can really go to work and really be effective with actually getting them to turn the puck over with that regard. But also, he's got that finesse where he can get that in tight. But he's got that scoring ability as well that you love to see. But also, I'd say as well, he's reliable defensively. He's a center who could play kind of a two-way game. He puts himself in the right spots defensively, which is important as a centerman because I mean the centerman. I mean they're really kind of going around the D zone there, and you really want your center if you're the D down low, you want that option at the boards, and you want that option kind of down low in the middle there for a little slip pass, if you need it in case that winger on the board isn't available. So he's got to be in that right spot. He's in that right spot all the time, or you got to pick up that extra guy in front of the net there. Got to be that outlet pass. So I think he's a great. He's a reliable defensive player positionally. He knows where he needs to be, and he gets himself into the right spots both defensively and offensively, and on the breakout there.
Yeah, that's excellent. I agree with you on all those points. I think being an excellent skater and being in great position and moving to those proper spots, using those quick feet to get there, like even knowing where to go shows high hockey IQ. So he sees the game well, plays the game well. He's not overly physical, but he gets the pucks first a lot of times and doesn't need to be. So if he does kind of get in a little bit of a, I don't know, like if he has to use his body, he can. He's 6 foot. Like I think he's 180 or something. He's a pretty big kid. I got the chance to meet him recently, so he's really good. Like I think he's got a complete game. I think there's a lot to like there. The other thing is the shot. He's got a really nice shot release. I really wanted to mention this. It's quick and he gets it off with really, really good accuracy. He shoots a lot of pucks. When I was talking to him, I met him at the rink. I just happened to see him and I said hi. And I think he's got a great snapshot. Like from far out, he's got great velocity and it really like brings another element to his game because if he's got the dangles as well and he can deke goalies and do all that fancy stuff, but with that shot, it keeps the goalies honest, and they can't just, if he's coming in, they can't just kind of stay in their crease and kind of defend against the dangles. They have to defend against that snapshot, and they got to kind of come out a little bit and challenge him, and that's where you can kind of put in a fake and then do a deke or drop it 5-hole or something fancy like that. But that shot, like I mentioned, I think it keeps those goalies honest. The fact that you can wire it like that.
No, absolutely. That's a big part of his game, and it's shown that he's been effective early in the season as well. With 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points early in the season here, and it's clear when we were talking to him beforehand as well. We were talking to him about kind of his game, kind of the games they played recently, and he understands what he wants to work on and what he needs to what kind of within the game. What went well, maybe what didn't, what you got to get better on. And it's clear that he's got that hockey sense where he understands those little aspects where, hey, maybe this didn't go well here, so I want to get better there. I want to kind of change that a bit, or hey, this went really well. Let's keep at that. Let's do that some more. but those little things where you could really see the hockey sense and the IQ that he has and the smarts as both as a player and off the ice, the intelligence that he has as well. I think, Ryan?
Yeah, definitely. He's a smart kid. He's a hockey player. Like I liked him when we interviewed him. Like after the interview, he was really thankful to us for having him on the pod, and like he's really nice and gracious and humble. And I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I mean, like I mentioned, I met him, and I think he's a great kid. I think he's got like one of those things where it's like all the potential in the world, and I think he's going to do really well in hockey and in life.
No, absolutely. I couldn't have said it best that I couldn't have said it better myself there. So I think that on that note, I think I think that's where we got to wrap it up there, because that's the best way to end it there with that kind of a statement about Vasic. So just once again, thanks so much to Daniel Vasic for joining us on that YSC team, just a team to keep an eye on there. But once again, thanks to Daniel and thanks to Nikolas Iafrate for joining us on the pod for this episode. Those two teams, Don Mills and York Simcoe Express, are going to be a couple teams to keep an eye on, the ETA and the GTHL and at the tournaments there as we approach. But just once again, thank you so much to those guys for coming on. But on that note, we'll wrap it up here, Ryan. Once again, if you watch on the YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and watch the podcast on there. If you listen to the pod, you're keeping up with the podcast on audio there. Feel free to download or subscribe on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Feel free to like, send us a comment on there. But keep those listens up, download that, shows us support on audio. We can really see the views on YouTube, but it's tough. The downloads really show up more in terms of audio. But we really appreciate the support so far on the YouTube in the first episode there, as well as on the audio. I mean, over 900 views, 950 views on the YouTube so far. So just the support's been incredible so far. Once again, just keep up those subscribes, downloads, likes.
Yeah.
Send those comments, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Like those downloads and the subscribe and all that stuff. Hit those buttons. Like hit as many buttons as you can. But we got don't hit too many. Don't hit too many. No, we got
don't get yourself in trouble.
Our personal our personal socials are also like really like we gotta plug those. Like I'm Ryan P. MacArthur on Twitter. I also have Instagram, but it's just like kind of a personal account. But there's really not a lot of hockey stuff on that. Also Ryan P. MacArthur. But if you're on Twitter, follow me there. I do a lot of stuff like besides this pod. Like I do the very, very cold stuff. I'm about to put out some articles and podcast stuff there. And Connor does a lot of like, and that's not it. Like I do a lot of other stuff, and Connor does other stuff as well with his recruit scouting and all that. So get your handle in there, Connor, so we can plug that.
No, absolutely, I appreciate it. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, at @CWilliams_3D4. Feel free to follow me on Instagram too. Same handle there, at @CWilliams_3D4. I'm really loving the Twitter. Keep it getting. I head out to a lot of Niagara games because I go to Brock University down here in St. Catharines, so I'm head out to a lot of Niagara games. But when I'm back home in Mississauga, I'll be heading to some G games, head out to tournaments. But definitely keep up with the Twitter. I like to post updates on there. If you see me at the rink, I don't know if I got an orange hat that I wear a bunch, but I don't know if I wear that to the rink very much. Try to look more professional there. But if you see me, feel free to say hi.
Ada likes that hat. She was like,
yeah?
She was watching the YouTube, and then she came. I'm like, oh, you gotta watch our episode. Like, she's like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. It was my wife's very supportive, but no, she watched it and she was like, I like Connor's hat. That's the one thing she said about the whole episode.
Oh my God, that's awesome. But I mean, it's awesome. I've been doing some work with the Niagara North U18 team as a kind of a video coach there, helping them out. So they've been off to a phenomenal start. Got to shout out those boys on Niagara North U18 with the stuff there. But just feel free to check Ryan and I out on our socials. Feel free to follow the pod on Twitter at the U16 pod. Follow it on Instagram at the U16 pod. We post up highlights that are updates when the episodes go out are on the Twitter and the Instagram a lot. Feel free if you want to email us. The best way to contact us, if you want any inquiries, any messages, any comments, the best way to contact us is by the podcast email, the U16pod@gmail.com. The odd time we will see the message to the Twitter, Instagram, but we do like to see on the email more so. It's easier to kind of respond that way. it's much easier that way. But if you want to send some comments, feel free to email there.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment about that. Like I get a lot of messages on my Twitter and stuff about the pod, and which is great. Like I love people reaching out, but it's better if those kind of things go to the email, because then like Connor and I both see it. We both check that email regularly. So it's yeah, that's a good thing to mention. Like, I mean, rather than sending it to like our individual like social media accounts, it is better if that stuff goes the podcast stuff. Even the podcast socials, if we get DM'd on there, it's better too. Something I thought I'd mention, because like when we both get all these messages, and then we have to like kind of keep each other up to date, right, Connor?
Yeah.
So
So feel free to email there. But on that note, we'll wrap it up here. Just once again, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the U16 pod, and we'll see you next week.
yeah, thanks. Take care, everybody.